Trauma is an extremely painful experience that leaves the person completely overwhelmed and powerless. The trauma itself can last 3 seconds, but its effects could last a lifetime. Examples of trauma involve abuse, neglect, loss, danger. It really stays with you for a long time. Even when you recover and you can reclaim full functioning in your daily life, you're always going to remember that, and it's always going to be a vulnerable spot for you. Much like if there is a scar in your body, the wound is going to heal, but you're going to feel and see that scar, and that's going to be a reminder. It doesn't mean that the trauma was not resolved. It just means that it happened. Now, children are particularly vulnerable to trauma. If trauma happens during one's development, the child learns that this is something rather than extraordinary, that this could be something to be expected. Children also tend to take everything that happens around them personally. If someone suffers an assault as an adult, this adult knows that this was a very aggressive action against him, but also knows that he as a person was not deserving of it. When trauma happens to a child, children by definition tend to think that everything has to do with them because they don't have the mental complexity to fully understand how the world works. And so when an assault happens to a child, they tend to feel that they deserve it, and therefore in their adult life they might be inclined to recreate it and repeat it because they think they deserve it or because they are familiar with it. People recover from trauma. A traumatizing experience is an overwhelming experience, and one that you might remember, and you probably will remember for the rest of your life, but one can recover from it, even though it might take work and patience. One way to recover from trauma is to transform the pain or the loss into growth and hope. One example is, let's say, mothers against drunk driving. These are mothers that have suffered tremendous trauma with the loss of their child, but they transform that pain into growth, into participating into a preventive organization that helps other people prevent the loss that they suffered. And in this way, if they can save the life of somebody else's child, they feel that it's a step in recovery towards their own trauma. In a similar way, with veterans suffering from PTSD, oftentimes our soldiers come home feeling tremendous sense of guilt. They call it survivor's guilt. One very powerful coping mechanism is to volunteer or work with other soldiers to give them particular training that they've experienced, to do those things that they wish they did for their peers. And they have a chance to do it now. And this is a very powerful way to help them with their guilt, with their pain, and their loss. A couple of practical points in working with trauma survivors. One of the dangers is that in telling you their trauma, they become overwhelmed and potentially re-traumatized by telling you about their experience. And so you want to be careful that while you want to listen, you want to monitor their feelings so that they don't become overwhelmed. If they do become overwhelmed, then help them calm down. Let them know, look, I think you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed right now, and therefore maybe we need to take a break or talk about something else for a little while. Always let them take the lead. Invite them to tell you as little or as much as they feel comfortable, but never to force themselves to tell you something that they're not ready to share. Empathic listening is one of the most powerful tools for helping someone with trauma. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to know about the experience that they suffered from. You don't even need to know what the solution is. All you need to do is be willing and genuinely interested in their experience. Empathic listening makes the retelling of the story therapeutic. It helps to put it in perspective. It helps normalize it or takes the edge off in some way. The understanding and the empathy of the other person makes them feel less alone with their experience. And that could be very powerful and beneficial for them.